GPT on some higher level like diagnostic car questions and all, and it really surprised me. It's just it's not as logical as you
No,
would think, and
and we're live.
and oh no,
Yeah, we're talking some back end. This is episode 70 something. I don't even know. And still didn't have any topics for today. I was still dealing with the cyber event, and only to find out that there were more problems. Uh, when your network gets destroyed, and so does everything. You find out you how when you weren't when people didn't value your position or your intelligence, and then you get put onto the big boys back end shit, you realized how much was not paid attention to and where things are royally fucked. And this is government back end IT at its finest, but um, anyway, I don't know. I don't really. I feel fucking these people that are hyping up AI. I'm just like I don't I don't fucking understand where the fuck you guys think that it would really even in any
so AI is not helping you in this instance.
no it, we wouldn't put it on a financial data. Oh God no. Oh God no. Those things are prone to error, especially with the OCR PDFs and I don't
I
even
just
I wouldn't even
I guess
trust it
the
because
logic is
we have the IBM financial stuff in the back end, and it's like I wouldn't when you're dealing with like real money. No, you can't.
yeah that seems strange because you see these ads, TV and fucking even YouTube. It's like they're glorifying somebody that comes in. They can't get their regular guys to get certified fast enough, so they bring in the AI supported group who gets it done super fast. Because they're smarter now. And
It's
I just don't believe that, man.
I don't
I
believe
haven't
it
seen that.
either because
I
like
haven't seen that.
I mean I experimented with some stuff like on the network stuff because Cisco was offering some free shit, you know, for the trial, and I tried it, and it it started breaking things, and that was the end of that. We I was going to use some of our I was okay to like experiment with a local LLM where because we have some like old what is it that map brick whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. There's this new thing where you can get three of those $30,000 Apple machines and do a local LLM. I just don't I don't trust it enough to do anything other than um, spell check at this point because if I have government workers using a local LLM to like for anything especially with the hallucinations and how you have to define this thing and they're prone to breaking and let alone I probably don't have enough computing power to even probably use it for like multiple people. It's probably never going to happen other than experimentation. um, no, I don't see any real use for it for practical IT. God forbid, you hook it up to like MECM or was it SECM or some
Well,
real
I see them offering like certifications, like AI certifications or something now.
for what though? It's like
I don't know. I just they're making like
name
a
me an
big deal
AI
out of it.
product that is used in the IT world. Like I can't I could see front end, like drawing pictures and shit. And if you wanted to do like per diem government protocol stuff by the T, and other than weapon systems and targeting things, like I don't really see a practical use for this shit. I think the jig is up. Like, I think there are factions within the government that do realize that the AI is kind of worthless. Like, wait, what
They
is
have
it?
these AI. Well, let's see. It's like car scan tools that are AI powered.
Well, I can
I've
see
run across.
that. Yeah, diagnostic, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they're kind of hyping them up too, and I'm like, I just, once again, I just don't see it, man. It's like how much, they tell you so much already. It's like really, what could it
Yeah,
add?
because the car
I've never
diagnostic.
used one yet, but I'm not going to pay $600 or $700 for a freaking
No,
scan tool.
you can get a car diagnostic tool that goes in there, and you can hook it up to your iPhone for like $10, and it's pretty accurate. But
Hmm.
the error codes are not 100%. Like there are issues, but like just because it's an error code doesn't mean that there's something wrong.
Yeah, you still have to do, yeah, but I mean, all that information is there fairly cheap without without the expense.
Anyway, so we're supposed to have disclosure soon, but I guess
Oh
was
man,
it?
we're still waiting.
Yeah, like yeah, they kicked out Pam Bondi this morning.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
then
yeah, you can kind of see her being the fall guy. Well, with all this Epstein nonsense, she's going to be the one that can get blamed for all that, and then she moves on to a better job at Fox News, probably, or you know,
I
bring
don't
in the
know.
next guy. Yeah, it's.
I'm kind of like not hopeful about it. You know, the Bob
Not
Lazar
that she.
shit came out
I don't.
today.
I don't think she was like really helping with disclosure.
No, I don't think she. I don't think she had that. I really. I don't know. I mean, the DOW was supposed to like come up with some stuff, but now I'm hearing that they have to have permission from somebody else to like just release this stuff. So that doesn't make any sense. Like if the president doesn't have an official okay, then who does? And what kind of shit show operation is the government running? So I'm like,
Oh well, they are. That's the thing. They've actually been telling the presidents that for a while
it's like
now.
a
That
circle jerk.
yeah, it's like, well, wait a minute, who actually runs this country then? Because if it's not the president, then something's been subverted here, like really bad. They're trying to convince you that all this COG and this elder group that we've created here is really the real power in charge now. It's a bunch of nonsense, man.
Well, yeah, it's not.
It,
I watch. I mean, I listen to like UAP Gerb's like like stuff and how he's broke it down. It's like the boogeyman is not really so boogie. It is traceable. I don't know how this guy gets all this information, but it's not so much of them. It's more along the lines of why is it such a shit show? And probably by design. The more of a shit show, the less people
oh yeah,
know.
yeah, and the less people, the more people tune it out because it is a shit show. But that doesn't that shouldn't keep the ones who are steady about it and know, from keeping to come at you. It's just like, hey, we know it's a shit show, but that's not going to keep me from calling you an asshole for doing what you're doing and being the way you are. They're trying to convince you that like this, the classifications, and that even the president needs to be briefed. It's just like, you know there's this whole dark budget CIA nonsense has gotten so far out of hand. I mean, there literally is already a second government out there somewhere that actually runs the show. It's just painfully obvious now. When you hear things like that, it's like you shouldn't even hear things like
Well,
that.
there's 4 or 5 major, it really hasn't, the players really have, since the whole 90s defense contractor mergers it's actually, believe it or not, I mean, there are quite a few contractors in my own backyard that it really can't go on much more, but they're in my own backyard or just over the hill, um, locally that are involved in that shit and right under people's noses. Um, LA is a big place. There's a lot of There's a lot of military contractors out here, despite most of the them moving in the early 2000s. There still is a lot of it still here. Um, people always point to like Area 51 or Douglas Proving Grounds and the Fort Detrick, but I'm like, to test and reverse engineer stuff, you need wide open spaces. Yeah,
Yeah, the deserts, Nevada.
yeah,
Well, there's a lot of stuff hidden in Nevada, man. I mean, you just drive for miles through those damn bases out there.
oh
It's like,
yeah.
I mean, just what are y'all hiding in all them bunkers out there?
I don't know. I mean, it's like I hate when people say like, "Do you believe they're real?" It's like I know they're real, and I'm not really convinced they're aliens though. Yeah, like you know, no, it's real. Oh yeah, like
Yeah, there's something going on.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. The how should I say this in a way that makes any sense? Paranormal is the norm. It's just how should I say this in a way that it makes any sense to like a skeptic? It's like you really don't have to look far to figure it out. Like, and there are ways that I know that would start some crazy shit, but I don't know if anybody would have the balls to do it. But speaking of crazy shit, you know that DMT laser guy, uh, Danny Golan, whatever his name is, Danny Goler.
That name sounds familiar. I don't know about this
Where
DMT
he, where,
laser.
yeah, 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 where you, if you use dimethyltryptamine and you use a diffracted laser, you can um, see um, things inside of the laser, which,
Uh,
yeah, which might be pre-rendering to reality. I really got into his stuff, and he had a pretty good base theory, which was if everything is a sim, how could you break it down? And it would be through light and breaking down light, diffracting a specific wavelength of a laser, and using DMT to see the extra parameters within that diffraction. Um, I've been building the diffracting laser, and I had another theory that you might be able to see it on other substances. I'm going to try and test that out on other complex tryptamines. I don't think so, but I'm going to test that theory soon. But what I have been out there, what I have been out there is I do believe that what you are seeing is pre-render um, uh, to reality. That's not really a big leap for me. What is out of the box, and I've been trying to get a hold of those people, or even Danny, and I don't know how to get a hold of them, is if we are dealing with a complex simulation that is light based, and there actually might, and if this is the pre-render or the code, um, there was a guy named Dr. Michael Newton who developed a life between life hypnotherapy, and I'm not sure if a lot of people read all of his books, but I did. And there is parts in the life review where there's often a person in a robe that will have usually wear a pin or some jewelry that has some icon either to your current life or their past life, and something that you would recognize throughout lifetimes. And there are often words written on the thing that the patients could not identify when Michael Newton probed it. But these appear to be the same letters or symbols that are found in that when you break down in the DMT laser experiment. And not only that, there are uh, uh, mentions of the same DMT beings in the life between life situations that happen. So what really what I'm really getting at is if we're dealing with simulation, right? There is a part of either your physical anatomy or something that within the entity, the your consciousness, something um, that under if this is real, that would under like a library of reference, how to decode the pre-render. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah, you. I mean, there's an argument out there about whether if you're in a simulation, is there any way for you to be able to tell whether it's a simulation or not?
see, that's where I'm
And I
getting at.
really don't
Yeah,
think there is because I don't see how if it's a well done enough simulation, I don't know how you would tell.
okay, yeah, what Danny's trying to get at is he's trying to see what angle is reality actually being projected at. That's not. I don't really care. I really finding out. If we're dealing with like five dimensional whatever, it's like that's beyond my math interpretation. What I'm trying to get at is if it's coded, right? If we could get a library of reference of what it is, that's a starting point, right? But how do you get a person to remember something or know something they're not supposed to know? And I did have a really weird um, experience on a really high dose of psilocybin mushrooms a while back where I was able to remember things, and this might all be biological. I was able to access memories, fairly young, um, um, that I 1, 2 years old that I would have never remembered. So they were there. But if you're able to access that, who's to say that if you didn't have like a hypnotherapist, um, um, what guide you into finding out what that code or that codex is that is for the pre-render of it has to if it is real there would have to be somewhere either in your consciousness or something in you biologically that would understand or decode the the pre-render. And
Well, that the
I haven't really got a response back from anybody but other than you're fucking lost your marbles. And I'm like, well, this is you got thinking outside of the
well,
box is
uh,
kind of where you gotta be to figure shit out.
yeah. Now I've also run across things something about like the DNA strand is an antenna that's the tuner for things, which could kind of make sense. I don't know what that length is, and it's a spiral, so it's complex, but I mean, that idea kind of makes sense.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, I've seen the DMT laser stuff. I've seen that. It's just it's real. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a hallucination at all because it seems to be stationary and there's enough um there's enough people that have done the experiments where other people are seeing the same things. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, that is odd. That DMT with people seeing the same things, that is strange.
yeah. What I'm trying to get at is figuring out the code of reference, like
Well,
what
I would.
is
Here's my problem. Would be my problem with ever believing you could do that is because, when you look at the smallest of the small, the Planck links and all that,
yeah.
our universe is more of a digital representation of something else. So there's already a transition going on there, and I don't think you could like decode through that and then tell what's actually, say, like the analog on the other side.
Well, yeah, that
You're
was
in,
that was another thing that I was getting at was Danny seems to be convinced that there are these beings that are controlling reality, which I do believe, but if you think about it, if it's a sim on top of a sim, what's outside the box?
yeah, you're a digital representation of something else.
Exactly.
So that's yeah, hey, you're probably pretty close, but how great of a digital representation? Who knows? And what's the coding and so forth. You see it from this side, but there's no way to look through that, which is going to have some coding and then tell what's on the other side.
Well, there are
Just as a
people.
pure, signal analysis, trying to, look something back. I just don't see how you would do that.
Well, there are people that and I'm not sure if you know the guy who invented the Intel chip. Some Italian, I forget the Italian guy. He invented the first microchip, and another guy was one of his friends named Tom Campbell. We're all into a lot of this freaky deaky crazy shit, and there are a lot of similarities in their theories about reality, and without quantum mechanics and the theory of quantum physics, the microchip would not work, which would mean the quantum
Yeah.
world is probably the de facto how reality is. And Tom Campbell, I don't agree with his theories about entropy and uh, f- uh, f- uh, I do agree with holographic fractal universe, um, but from his analysis, reality would more likely be coded in probability, where we would get into these weird probability. You know what I mean? You get into this weird superposition shit, with electrons and probability
Oh yeah.
states,
Yeah.
which would make complete sense. So this would be a computer that would be probably coding on the quantum level, and it's all digital, dealing with more of probability than actual physical objects. Um, and then you're thinking about, okay, well, how far does the render go? And this is where you get into some weird Schrodinger cat shit. Reality might not be rendered until to save on compute power until a conscious being is there to start the render, which would mean that kind of like a video game where you get into GTA and you'll look in part it's gray and then you get there and it starts to become more. That would probably be how it would save on computing power. He did have some weird theories about how this would work and probably why that is, which I do agree. There are some weird things about reality that don't make any sense about, like light. Why is there a limitation on it? And was it programmed? Uh, there,
You
there,
know,
there
the,
are
the
there are some weird things in science that seems deliberate.
yeah, you're limited. You're in a limited box.
Yeah,
There's maximum temperatures, minimum temperatures, uh, minimum distances.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So there's all these limits out, and you have to say, well, like
Why?
why?
Exactly.
Where does that come from?
You
And
can't.
there's really
You
no
can't.
answer.
Yeah, and you can't define any variable. You can't you can't just say because that's how it is. I mean, you can give me a really insane physics calculation about why this is, but when you get down to like the philosophical level, it
But even the
seems
parameters,
deliberate.
like you
Yeah,
yeah, well, like all these the weak force, strong force, all these things. It's like, well, like where does that come from? Well, it comes out of the overall supposed uh, superheat of the Big Bang, because there were no forces. There was this gluon, plasma, whatever, and then out of that, as it cooled, came the forces and the things that you know.
There's even problems with the theory about
You
the
know,
Big
that
Bang
alone
too.
is
Yeah,
strange.
yeah. There's no evidence, and there is no place where you can see a starting. It seems to it's leading more towards it's always been there.
Yeah,
Like
how do you?
they can't find one place where it originated from. You know?
Yeah, and let's be like, if you're a physicist, when you say something like it's okay, it's a Big Bang, but there is no center. It's like, well, okay, then what? Then it wasn't an explosion. Then it wasn't a Big Bang. Then
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's one or the other. It's not, you can't have it both ways, and they constantly try to do that.
Which
But I
means
tell you what, I've seen some. There's like early, what is it, like, from these new telescopes like the Rubin and all, where they're
yeah,
like watching almost every friggin' star, and you can start to see this spin that's going on,
yeah,
and it's strange, man. I mean, it looks to me like something out of like a cloud chamber with a tornado or something in it.
yeah.
Honestly,
It
yeah,
might be
it's weird.
it might be it might be when we look at the big picture. It might be a fucking neuron network like a brain, and it might be a sim complete complete simulation. If you, I mean, it would make more sense. It really would. I mean, there's
Well, even like, there's all these dark matter threads, the way everything's organized. It
I
looks
don't
that way. It
I
actually looks like it.
the thing is, like, I agree that there probably is a dark matter, but I don't agree that you have to make, like what Sabine was saying. I don't agree that there are extra parameters, or some super spooky shit that we're a lot of times when people try to to find dark matter, they're making up shit for their fucking funding. Is that they're all
Yeah,
guessing? Yeah, they're all
yeah, you
guessing.
have to call it something. You know it's there, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah,
So you have
exactly.
to
You don't know
start.
what it is. Yeah, yeah. So they make up shit. Yeah,
And well, like, for me, like the dark energy thing. I've always, here lately, it's like it would make more sense to describe that as not something that's like blowing everything apart, but you're in an environment where there's something that heavy outside that you're attracted to. That argument would make more sense than saying it's this mysterious force that's like blowing us apart, and we
same
can't
with gravity.
describe it. But
We can't define it. We don't know what it
well,
is, and
then
why is it
you
weak?
don't yeah, don't argue it that way, and then you don't have that problem. It's just, okay, there's something, the whole universe that we know is just being stretched by something that's even more massive out there. We don't know where it is. That would make sense, because
Uh,
then that would explain it.
well,
But
actually,
when you
I
go
heard
around the
some
solar
crazy
beacon now,
I heard some crazy shit about gravity, and it actually kind of makes more sense. Is gravity is actually a push rather than a pull, which would make a lot more sense why we can't figure it the fuck out. It's just on these scales that we don't, on the scales that we can measure, it doesn't make any sense to us. Rather than if we could jump outside of the box and see everything for what it is, it would make more sense. But um, which would mean it's probably a particle rather than the bending of space. What exactly is it? It's probably something that's something that can transcend dimensional shit, because there are some strange things out there, like in the middle of nowhere where there are pockets of space where there's nothing, which would you know which doesn't make any sense. You've heard of the Great Void, right?
yeah. Now, two reasons for that, possibly. That goes back to that baryonic acoustic noise from the plasma from the beginning, creates these like bubbles of spaces that we see. And then the other one is these. like star formation areas that have these like multiple explosions that kind of blow out an area and create that void of material, or kind of push everything out. So there's two mechanisms there for creating a void.
True. I think.
I mean, there's just so much going on. It's just like all these processes, but at the same time, it's just even when you look at like all the physical variables that they like line out. I think there's like 25 or 30 of them, like these so-called tunable variables that you could allegedly tune at the Big Bang. That could create who knows how many different universes, but and then why ours are set in these certain values.
Well,
That's there's your starting point for trying to render something from before that. There's your basic layout of
I don't know. It's more. I
our
don't.
sim. Because yeah, a universe could be a simulation. It could be, if it's truly an infinite number of universes, then there were an infinite number of sims that took place, and only a few of them are going to work because you tweak the values too much and everything just flies apart. Nothing works.
I don't know. It was like that last trip I had. Got real paranormal. It was kind of like weird. I never had anything like that where something was four things were talking to me about this shit, and I was like, okay, well, maybe this is a sign I should be looking into this. No, talking about this shit. I was like, man,
Well,
I
now
don't think
what?
that I don't think
I'm
that's ever
thinking,
happened to me, like ever. Like it was totally out of the norm. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go trip out and stare at the fucking stars and shit. And nope, that's not what happened. Like
yeah, but, the bad trips. Yeah, we're
it wasn't a bad trip. It was
sometimes
just
I know where
weird.
they come from. It just takes one thing, like throw you off or
No, it was like
uh,
they were talking about this kind of shit. Like, and I was like, there was like four people, and it was weird too because like I could describe exactly what they look like, and I oddly knew exactly who they were, but it gets into some crazy shit if you believe in like life cycles. It wasn't like a past life or anything. It was like these people that were that familiar to me. It was like
hmm.
that life between life shit. That's the only thing I had a distinct feeling I knew all these people. It was like four people. It was three females and one male.
Well,
That's almost as crazy as the guy. What was his name? He's the guy who does the he's a think tank out here in Los Angeles, and he had a similar story that freaked me out. Like he does the 8D theory and the how consciousness is probably the foundation of the universe, and he's all into consciousness actually being, or the fundamental building blocks of the universe is probably what's known as an eighth dimensional quasi crystal. And he, upon coming up with this and trying to get a think tank to define this theory, was visited by paranormal entities that did talk to him about what he was talking about. And I'm like, and this is coming from an egghead, science guy. It wasn't the weirdest shit. Like Tesla used to talk about weird shit too. You know,
yeah. Well, the Tesla's actually made sense because I mean he was talking about phenomenon and forces that were out there. They weren't as well known and understood at that time. That's why they seem so weird. But his stuff actually makes sense.
yeah.
Uh, now See, my thing about like with UFOs is that's not a normal experience. How do you define paranormal? Because to me, it's like anytime you would see a UFO, that ain't normal. And so, but is that paranormal? Or is that just, hey, I'm seeing something, so it's normal in the sense that, I'm seeing something, but, what is the experience?
Yeah. Well,
Paranormal, that always has come across, or at least been portrayed as strange and weird, creepy, spooky, you know, uh, I don't know other ways to describe it, but, along those lines,
well, I don't know. It's going about
but
it like the way that they're going about it and trying to figure it out doesn't seem like the way it's gonna figure out anything. I don't
no,
know.
you got well, I think in the randomness of it all, people will eventually figure it out because, if you have a billion people trying all their different ways of doing something, there's going to be some that run across a solution, and then that solution spreads just like it normally does through history, even faster now.
Maybe
Um,
altered states is the key.
I don't, man, I don't rule anything out. Honestly, it's just like because I don't know. I mean, just
I
that's
don't
it.
know.
Having had some weird experiences, I mean, that may be a clue to something. It seems to be. You hear like different, not explorers. When I say scientists over the hundreds of years, they would sleep on some idea and they got the answer in their sleep or in a dream or
Yeah,
something weird
Doctor
like
Doctor
that.
Hoffman dropped LSD all the time before his new shit. Yeah, the guy
Yeah,
invented. Yeah, Doctor Hoffman.
there is something. I mean, sometimes I have to admit it's rare, but you kind of wake up refreshed, like, and you honestly have like a light bulb went off your head, and you're like ready to go with a new idea. I come up with something new. I mean, that does happen.
And the guy who invented the PCR did the same thing. He was dropping LSD and he figured it out.
Yeah,
Crazy, huh?
uh,
Famous. No, and then that's how we can find out new viruses, and we can also replicate DNA enough so that we can understand what the hell we're looking at. Because if you get a part of the DNA, he figured out that we could use machines to produce the rest. Um,
mm, yeah.
it gets into some weird shit, but yeah, this guy figured out when he was fucking blitzed on LSD.
Yeah, there's an argument. Well, maybe Terrence McKenna and some of these other folks who would kind of argue that it was man first taking mushrooms and these other psychedelics that led to some of these leaps in intellect and consciousness or whatever. And I don't doubt that. I mean, it definitely open up your mind. Give you some weird ideas. Not that weird ideas are all not all weird ideas are good, but it definitely gets you thinking different.
Oh, God. What is reality and what is outside of this box?
Yeah, I just keep to me. It just looks to me more and more like we're inside a limited box.
Yeah,
You have all these limits that keep you from well, and then you're never going to be able to travel the universe. Even as it expands away from everything and accelerates, you're limited to I think what they call like in astronomy like the local group. There's only so far you could even in theory get to. You know,
which would
before
mean
even
that the
that
only
breaks
way
down.
the only way to travel from point A to point B is like what we call a quantum leaps.
Yeah, so it's man, you're
There's
you're
just not
so
enough energy.
limited in
Yeah,
the space. You have all this space. Yeah, you're in this huge galaxy or whatever, and beyond. But at the same time, you're in a universe that's extremely limited.
yeah.
You can't just do anything you want. I mean, all these limits, all these special cases, all these things are happening around you. You have no control over any of it. and you can't just do whatever you want. You can't just go anywhere. You know, that's not that's not real. You know, unless there's some other way.
Well, there probably is another way. I
Yeah,
don't
because
think
whatever's on the outside, you know, just the thought, okay, we're on the inside of some universe, so what's on the outside? There has to be something else.
real
You know?
reality.
Yeah, there's more reality, you know, an extended reality. This whole idea now of like the universe spinning, well, that kind of blows the whole, you know, physicist argument that there is no center. Because if you're spinning, there's usually a center, you know,
Yeah.
some kind of center. You know, it's just so, you know, they need to like rethink their whole argument here. It's just,
It's
you
like
know,
you're dealing with people who are smart, but they can't think outside of the box. That's what we have.
yeah, yeah, and you've gotten to an edge, and well, and then their own conflicts. Sometimes I don't see why they don't even see their own conflicts. It's like you can't
Well, their own
keep
internal
pushing your
biases.
theory if you
Because it's going to flip
honestly,
their lid. You know, if it's if it's spinning, yeah,
yeah. As far as I know, something that's spinning has a center. You know,
yeah,
and then everything spins. Okay, it's like okay, the sun spins, the Earth spins, the fucking galaxy spins, everything's spinning. Black holes spin.
universe spins.
So yeah, you know the universe spinning. Why is that so weird? That actually kind of makes sense. You know.
Well, spinning and rotation keeps things balanced. But now we find out that the spin and rotation is dependent on what we call dark matter from keeping stuff falling apart. It's not gravitational
Yeah,
forces, which would mean it's a sim. It's perfect, too perfect.
yeah. It's just that there's all these like special cases that you run across in physics. It's like, oh well, all these things happen, but then oh wait, right here, you know, something changes. Oh, it's a weak force. You know.
It's too perfect, you know.
Yeah, it's just like there's all these. You know, it's like come on.
And most most stars that we find are not like ours that probably have habitable planets. Most of them are red dwarfs.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's just all too. Red dwarfs are prone to more prone to what's known as a mini novas. Um, our sun is prone to mini novas, and probably has done so in the past. More
yeah,
than likely has. Um, but stars of our size are more stable than red dwarfs. They don't last as long, but and it's just all too perfect. It's just too weird.
yeah, yeah. It's just it's it's hard to it's hard enough to understand. You know the sim that we're in than
And the religious
to
people will tell you it's God, and I'll be like, well, that's not good enough for me.
well, yeah, okay, yeah, you know.
That's not good enough.
That's the big guy out there, you know. Well, and there has to be. It's like who could come up with something like this, or what
Uh,
could come up with something like this?
to have that kind of computational power,
Whew, yeah, I just
oof, Jesus.
yeah, it's,
Imagine the energy
yeah,
energy
it would
requirements.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, the energy. Yeah, is would there be more energy in the sim or just like creating the matter itself? I mean, I was like, you know, what this.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. And then it's all relative because you know our version of how we view the universe is very different from somebody, you know, a million light years away or further looking at us the other way, you know, it's just, so it's the relativistic test tube. That's, I used to call it that at one point. It's,
Well, if I could figure out what the pre-render is, it's real. Can't prove it. You can't. Oh, yeah, there was one thing. There was one thing that Danny was able to do that didn't make any sense. So Danny was able to get an Apple headset, and they don't know why this worked. Um, which would mean that there's something. Okay, there's something. You ever heard that? There's an actual word for the theory when you can feel somebody looking at you, right? There's an actual physical word for. There's a scientific word
Yeah, let's see,
which
like, yeah,
which
it's,
which which would mean that okay, it might not be a organ interpreting light waves or photons. There might be something actually working in reverse. And here we go. When Danny had was just fucking around, and he's like, well, maybe there's a way we can record the what the user is seeing. And so they put on an Apple the new one, the Apple Vision Pro, that has the AI thing in there with the Retina thing, and we're able to capture some of the shit that they were able to fucking see from the hallucination to try and interpret what the fuck they're seeing. How it worked,
mm,
they don't fucking know. Um, that's the bottom line, but would go into the theory that uh, things might not actually be working the way that you think that they are. The eyes might not only be a receptor, but might also be a projection of. We do know that there are waves. There are oscillations that can be detect. You can detect brain waves a little bit further out of the than actual having the stuff hooked up to your head, quite far out. But I don't believe it's a wave. I do believe it's more of an what we call a oscillation on the um, quantum scale, more along the lines of if consciousness might actually be projected out through the eyes, which would make sense rather than just being a receptor, which would also go along the lines of when people actually feel people looking at them, and how the Apple Vision Pro was able
yeah.
to pick up what a person was hallucinating,
Mm.
which is some freaky shit.
Yeah, I just, I think what happens to me, what happens there is like when you notice somebody looking at you, uh, well, from that bothers you because somebody's watching and it's like, what are they doing? Are they stalking you? It's like a primitive stalker prey type uh,
But scientifically, it's
uh,
something. That is
relationship. It's
something.
like you,
That's
yeah, you see it
something.
and notice it. So yeah, I mean that's still going on, but do you notice it before? I mean, you can look at
There's been
animals and all, and then they don't really, but they're not bothered with you. But until once they look at you and they notice you're looking at you, well, now they're concerned.
Well,
Uh,
no, there's
but
been
that's
scientific experiments where they will have people who are unknown, don't know, ask them later, did they feel somebody looking at them? And there's been other things they
mm,
did the similar experiment with pregnant mothers, and they would lactate uh, often miles away when the child was crying. Um, there there seems to be more to the phenomenon of consciousness and feeling, and where you are in relation to something else, that distance doesn't really matter, and that actually physically feeling somebody staring at you without you knowing, actually looking at them, it might actually is probably a real thing. uh,
mm.
but the eyes might not just be a receptor, it might also be a projector on some quantum level for consciousness, which would explain why people feel people staring at them. I mean, it's not a
Yeah,
far
now
leap.
the other way, another way you kind of see, like say, and see it animals sense something around them is, there's this electric field around you,
Hmm.
and depending on where that's oriented, they can kind of tell whether you're coming or going or what direction you're going. Uh, so that would be a non-visual sensing of
Yeah.
something going on. Okay, so that that is occurring. I've heard others, say that they feel certain things or whatever. I never did. I always thought, well, it's like the heat from the oven or something. I mean, I can feel that, but I don't sense anything like from other senses that I don't have. Not
Oh, I've
usually
had it.
anyway.
I've had it. It usually,
But others do. Yeah, there's, like somebody's looking at them and all that. They seem to be onto that. Is it paranoia? I mean, that could just be paranoia too. I mean, hey, a lot of people, the truth is, a lot of people are watching your shit. Just look at people walking down the street. They're always looking up your driveway and checking you out. So there is something to that.
I gotta end
Even if
this.
you're
I
just
gotta,
paranoid,
yeah, I gotta end this show. We'll be back. Let me see. 2 weeks from today. What is that?
all right,
16. I gotta put this kiddo to bed. 16th.
all righty.